Always have my signature coffee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tej Yale. I'm the founder and CEO of Think Impact, a marketing company based out of Rochester Hills, Michigan. Today, we're very fortunate to have Ms. Natasha Feghali, founder and CEO of the Feghali Group, Incorporated. And she is an award-winning Canadian for her work in the community and strong dedication to education. And she has been the recipient of numerous awards and recognitions, most notably the Caring Canadian Medal in 2015 for her dedication to the community, education, and the future of entrepreneurship in the 21st century. She is an international educator working overseas throughout her career and giving workshops and conferences both nationally and internationally. She has taught in France, Kuwait, and Ontario for 10 years. She's been a distinguished journalist since 2012 and has written for magazines such as Bazaar and City Pages. Most recently, she will receive the Odyssey Award from the University of Windsor and has been published in a book on women and leadership in Ontario. So Ms. Feghali, thanks for being on. I appreciate you accommodating time for our interview today.
No, thanks, Tej. You know, when I hear you read all that, I ask myself, who's that person? It's so humbling, and I feel so shy. I feel so shy to hear it. I feel so shy. Like it's really humbling.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are great accomplishments, and look forward to following your
Thanks
organization.
for having me. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. So the first question that I always like to ask is if you can share a little bit about your startup journey, about the Feghali Group, and then what hurdles you had to overcome and how you overcame them.
So we started in 2015, and originally my original business partner was my brother, and we purchased our first rental property. So what we do is we have a portfolio of rental homes in Windsor, Ontario, and storage spaces. And we are basically landlords and property managers. We self-manage our own properties, so business to business, as well as slowly but surely, we're going to start branching out to manage for others. However, because of the quality that we are ensuring, we want to keep it at that standard. So we haven't really branched out yet for other clients, but we are going to slowly start doing that. And we just continue to grow our portfolio. Right now, we are venture partners. So although it is a group, we are a group of investors now in it. When I originally started in 2015, it was just me and my brother. Due to a series of events, my brother had to step down, so I took over the whole thing on my own. In 2017, I sold our initial investment, which returned $250,000 in profits. After expenses, we were looking at about 200, 175, give or take a few thousand. And with that money, I turned around and invested in another few multifamily homes. From that, branched out to a JV partner. And from now, we've grown to 7 homes, 3 garages, and hopefully, with COVID-19, there's a small slowdown, but we're hoping to grow that a little bit more and continue as well as we'd like to. The goal for 2020 was to branch out into Michigan and get our first property, under signing there. However, we just had a mild setback. We are gonna, that's the goal. That's the goal. It might be the goal for 2021.
Yeah, that's great. So were there any hurdles when forming your company that you faced, and then how did you overcome those hurdles?
My business is very volatile. It is not an easy one for the simple fact that rules, regulations, laws, policymakers are not in our favor. And we're currently in a climate where it is very tenant-centered and tenant-favored, both positive and negative. And because of that, the industry is really, really, really changing. And oftentimes, because of legislation, it can cost landlords a lot of money. and a lot of loss as well, with damages, etc., to homes, units, storage spaces. So these are huge hurdles and setbacks. In my business, mistakes cost money. And it's hard, although I have mentors and I spend a lot of time learning, it's really hard to navigate and mitigate those mistakes. There are many avenues that you might stumble upon that you don't know. And I'll give you a simple example. You might meet a great, awesome tenant, and they might present well, however, they're an imposter. The second they're in the unit, you can see a total 360. And those are things that you can't systemize, you can't be sure of, no matter what you have. So those are huge hurdles that we have to overcome.
And in doing like the research between the States and Canada, obviously there are different rules and regulations as it relates to property management and all of that. So is there anything that your company is kind of doing to stay ahead of the curve when you do make those investment decisions in the US as it relates to properties?
Well, we have a company out of, they're called Stateside APM, and I've been working with them now probably for the last 2 years, just gathering information and data, and then we're always looking for joint venture partners, right? And that will definitely help us pierce into the market. I'm not saying that we want to grow exponentially. Myself and my sweetheart, we are the principal investors, and we also work really awesome day jobs that we love. So it's a bit of a two-tiered thing, eh? We're like, you know, they say a rabbit that sits on 2 stools will fall. So we're kind of like sitting on the 2 stools because we have amazing day jobs that we love. They are professions. We're both professionals. And then we have our business on the side, and both are equally important and valuable to us. Our business is like our children, you know, it's our love. We love it. And we try our best to learn as much as we can about different markets, different areas, different cities, different states, different provinces before we jump in, because mistakes, as I said, mistakes cost money.
Yeah. And in terms of marketing or the way that people find out about your company, obviously, or for a good portion, I should say, it's going digital now. So are there any strategic goals that you've had to adjust because of that, or kind of expanding on those goals?
You know what, Tej, if I might say honestly, we've been digital since we started. So whatever it comes to, we've already had online presence. We have our website, we have our Facebook page, we have our Instagram. We post everything online. Padmapper, Zumper, these are all sites for rentals. Padmapper, Zumper, we are already doing video calls in case I get a lead, let's say someone looking for property management out of Vancouver or Toronto or Montreal. Those already have to be video calls, and I'm already meeting with different real estate investors across the province, and those are already like through Facebook. We'll have a call, etc. So I would say that we've already been digital for a very long time. When it comes to payments, payment-wise, from our clients, which are our tenants, we prefer everything digital. However, I cannot legally, if somebody's going to give me cash to pay for their unit, I cannot legally say no. I have to accept it. I don't like to accept cash. Of course, we follow up with a receipt, with an email, etc. I want everything digital. I don't want any cash at all, checks, any of that. However, if the tenant is paying me the rent, I can't say no. So there are little gray areas where, you know, we still have to use a more traditional style of business.
Okay, sounds great. I also noticed in my research that you mentor an ESL, and you're also giving back in a philanthropic way. So is that something, how did that interest spark, and how did that come to be?
You know what, since I started teaching, I've always wanted to, I'm a teacher by day, an ESL instructional coach. And when I started my career, I always wanted to bring the outside world into the classroom. And so I always did that. And when I started my business, one of our pillars is that we give back a percentage to the community. Because our homes are in all the different wards, all different neighborhoods, we want to give back to those neighborhoods as well, so that we create that bond in the neighborhood, and that we're not just seen as you know, somebody who's running a business and doesn't care, just, you know, give me the money. We want to also give back to the community, because when the community is shining, the residents are shining.
Yeah.
And we know that when the community is growing and shining and is blossoming and people are living well, they will live well in your homes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. And one of another question that I had for real estate was, out of all of the projects that you have you noticed like one area seems to do better than the other? And in addition to that, what are the key metrics or the different factors that you look at when going into a new market that you are not operating in already?
Whew. I would say that the key factors that we really like to look at are the cap rates of the home. So what is our return on investment? The best industry that we're in is the storage units. I would say the storage units are the easiest, most hands-off, cash flowing part of our business. It's so simple. People have stuff and they need to store it somewhere, and we provide that storage for them. That has been one aspect that I really love. That is something my business partner, we would like to develop more. We would like to develop also our own, like, say, storage unit facility. That has been the best, the easiest portion. The metrics that I use basically would be the return on investment, the cap rate, the monthly cash flow. Month to month cash flow changes for us because our business is, it's boxes on land. That's it. It's just boxes on land. But the business is actually a human business. And with humans, it's not always going to be robotic. Every month, this amount, this. Humans have different emotions, different temperaments, different wants, different desires, different ideas. I'll give you an example. Last month, a tenant called me. She wants to paint the room. We only paint every 5 years if necessary, or upon entry exit of a unit from a tenant. But she wants to paint the unit. She's an excellent tenant. Am I going to start arguing with her because there's an economic slowdown, we're unsure about rents, a stable economy? No, she's a wonderful tenant. I don't mind. So that will cut into our, you know, profit margin. However, because it's a human industry, the tenants are awesome. They want to upkeep the unit. Why would I say no? Although it's going to cut into my profit margin. So that's one thing. As for where we invest, predominantly, I haven't had an exact, say, neighborhood. A lot of investors say, okay, we're going to choose, let's say for states, well, I'll give an example, states in Canada. We're going to choose Harper Woods, or let's say we're going to choose in Windsor, Ontario, we're going to choose Little River area, okay? They're very similar in socioeconomics, the two neighborhoods. Some investors will do that. For us, we've mainly been looking for different things when we invest. So we don't have a particular neighborhood, although we have a concentration in the downtown core. It's not our, say, main area. We're looking for homes that have higher cap rates. We're looking for homes that have good return on investment, say 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. We're looking for neighborhoods that are growing, neighborhoods that say may have a new school, might have a branch of the college or university. So we're looking for neighborhoods where we're going to see growth. If we see larger developers in a neighborhood, we'll more than likely buy in that neighborhood. The last home we bought is in a neighborhood where there's a very, very large developer. He's building a huge condo complex across the street. Now, those are going to be condos for sale, even though we're in the rental business. However, that condominium, because of the luxury of it, the standards, the types of residents, we bought in the street over a few blocks down, because it's going to bring up our property value, and it'll also change the dynamics of the neighborhood.
Okay.
So that's some of the things that we like to do. We also look for homes that are vacant. I don't really like to assume tenants. Usually you have a dip in profit when you assume tenants. There's sometimes it can become a very terse situation, and I'm not going to lie, Tej, we are in one right now with an assumed tenant, and it hasn't gone well. It hasn't gone well. There's error there, there's faulty there. It hasn't gone well, and so no matter what you do, you can't always say, you know, it's going to be a moneymaker, because it's a human business.
Yeah. Sounds great. So I am actually going to open it up for some virtual Q&A, if that's okay with you. I have a couple more, but for the people that are tuning in, if they have any questions or want to ask any questions.
That's awesome.
I got a quick question. Right now with this COVID situation, if there is a tenant who is vacating, how are you, let's put it this way, fumigating, or what is the cost that is associated to make sure that your place to be rented is going to be sterile? And is there a plan within the MLS or within the industry that is being propagated right now?
Great. Honestly, Jay, that's a great question. So what I noticed mainly is that it obviously there's multiple tiers depending if you're buying or selling. Then the realtors usually have their own protocols that they're taking on, such as not having the tenants in the unit. If you're gonna, let's say you're selling or buying a home, every real estate agency has their own proper protocols and procedures in place. For us, luckily, most of our tenants have been with us for a very long time. Honestly, knock on wood, mashallah, our tenants have been with us forever, and they're wonderful. We started a protocol early March with our tenants in regards to entry, exit of the units, people going in and out of the units, repairs, small repairs. So we had all of that put in a document, which we gave to each tenant, as well as tenants who say pay in a more traditional way. We have a protocol with them in regards to us collecting checks and so forth. Luckily, I would like to say we have 90% of our tenants are paying via electronic methods. Once a tenant vacates a unit, if we have anybody moving out, at that point, they're going to have to move themselves out in their own way. However they see fit, they have to move themselves out. Once they're completely out of the unit, we are then going to go in and fully sterilize and clean the unit top to bottom. Now, if you're in real estate, Jay, you know, just like I know, they can leave easy or they can leave difficult. So depending on how the situation and depending on the factors of how they're going to leave the unit, it could be a positive thing, but it could be super negative. So if it's positive, obviously they'll leave appropriately. We'll go in, we'll clean, we'll take video, photo, rent the unit, and then we'll do, obviously, I would prefer Skype or Zoom meetings with prospective tenants, and then we'll run all their profiles through our paralegal. That's a new process that I have in place because we have a very, very, very difficult situation right now that we're in with an inherited tenant. So everything now goes directly through the paralegal, and then she'll scan the tenant through,
My question was directed mostly towards the current COVID situation.
Yeah,
When a tenant leaves, what
yes.
are your plans to fumigate the place, the condo or apartment or the place of
Well,
rental? Because, and
it
what
in
is the
that
cost associated with that?
yeah, in that case, we'll hire a company. I haven't had to go there yet, so I don't know fully the costs of it, but we would hire, say, a commercial residential cleaning company, and we would have them come in to clean, and we would obviously price that and quote that out via different companies, what they're offering. So
Now,
that would be how we would address that issue.
now my follow-up question is,
Yes.
after you do all of that and you have a new tenant coming in, what is the liability from a landlord's point of view? What if the new tenant comes in and says, because I got into this apartment, I contracted COVID? How are you
Oh,
going to mitigate that issue? Because
that's a
I
very
haven't,
interesting.
because that is a very serious issue for any landlord or even showing a home now. That I mean, I
Yeah.
as a consumer, I feel the liabilities are going to overwhelm all the landlords coming pretty soon.
You know what, Jay, you're 100% right. And I'm glad you brought that to my attention. That's something I'm going to talk to with our legal team. And I might even have them draw up a document stating that they're coming, when they move into the unit, that we are not liable for them contracting or receiving anything. And that we will provide them a statement that the unit has been cleaned by a residential cleaning company. And hopefully, although I don't know the legalities around that, around say signing something stating that they don't receive COVID, because if I went now to say Kroger, I could contact it at Kroger. Am I going to sue Kroger? So
Absolutely.
I really got to check out the legalities around that. But that's an awesome question.
Yeah, I mean, the Kroger situation, what you're saying, after all this pandemic, virus, everything is calmed down, I'm expecting there'll be a lot of lawsuits coming up
Oh yeah.
very,
Oh,
very similar to that.
oh yes, I agree
I
with
went
you.
to
Yep,
Kroger, I went to Home Depot, I went to Burger King. All that liability lawsuits are coming. It's just down the
absolutely.
road. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you, and I can see it happening. And I'm so glad that you posed me that question, because that's something I'm going to run by our legal team. Yeah, that's wonderful. Actually, I didn't factor in that they would say I received or I have symptoms of COVID because I've moved in or out of your home, out of the unit.
Mhm.
However, you know, in this industry, anything's possible, and
Yep.
that could be possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Were there any other questions for those tuning in? All right, so I had a couple more.
Yeah.
In terms of the real estate industry in Canada, where do you see the trend kind of going to within the industry as a whole? And are there specific steps that your company is taking to kind of be a first mover within those steps to adjust accordingly?
I think for the moment, we'll see more of a plateau. However, I've noticed in my city, prices are not going down. Matter of fact, homes are still selling above asking. Currently, we're only, say, a month, 2 months into, you know, the beginning infancy stages of COVID. I believe that going forward, we will see more of a stabilization, maybe even a drop. I'd like to be optimistic to say that it will, you know, maybe reset, the market will reset itself, as opposed to, it was so high just recently, the last 2 years, but some homes were selling 100,000 above asking in my city alone. I mean, irregardless of Toronto and the Golden Horseshoe. I would like to say that we will see a stabilization, maybe even a drop. But I believe that in the long term, it will pick itself back up. Real estate is always going upwards. For us, our main goal, and this is from weeks and weeks of research, our main goal is to ensure that we have the funds ready and available. If the market takes a huge drop and a huge crash, that we have the money ready and available to be able to make cash offers and to have our offers accepted, so that we can immediately move in on properties or projects as soon as they come available. So that's one of our main goals. The second one is to plug up our holes in our business. So many of our projects have had to stop or slow down because, as our friend Jay just mentioned, a lot of people are not coming onto job sites. They refuse. Sometimes you might have contractors, subcontractors, they don't want to be on the site at the same time. Buying and receiving materials has become extremely, extremely difficult, unless you're buying, say, in massive bulk, which we're not buying in massive bulk at this time, but we do have projects that are on the go. So those are a few little things that are really important to us. They're little, however, they're large in nature. And the holes are tenants that need to go, houses that need to be sold, just to make sure that we're ready and able for what's coming next. Of course, I want to say that it's going to be on the upswing and everything's going to be great, but I do believe that there will be a correction.
Sounds good. So was there anything that attracted you to have your own company within the real estate industry, or how did that come to be?
I had a mentor about 5 years ago who's a wonderful, wonderful human, and he's way past the rental now. Now he's a mortgage lender and he holds mortgages. So he's so far past the infancy stages where we still are. 5 years later, it's still infancy. And he said to me, he said, Natasha, you need to think about a business that can withstand the pressures of life. And those are businesses that are at the bottom of the Maslow's hierarchy. Food and shelter will always be needed. He said, tech is great, but if you can't eat, you're going to sell your iPhone. And, you know, he was right. In my opinion, he was right. Although stock-wise, we invest in technology. When it comes to the stocks, we put a lot of money in technology. Go AI. However, for our main business, housing has been very good. It has been very good. And I really hope, I don't want to say that we're perfect and we're awesome and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I don't know. Who would have known that COVID would bring us to this? We hope that we can withstand the storm that is coming so that we can keep growing. That's our main priority. And so we'll use the tools that we have to focus on stacking cash, plugging up the holes, refining some of our processes in order to withstand the storm.
Sounds great. And last couple of questions. What would your advice be to either current entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs that are looking to start their own businesses and have their own businesses?
You're going to have to work harder than everybody else. And the poor me and why me syndrome, I've had it for a long time, and I think it hindered me. So got to get rid of that. Don't quit your day job until you need to. It's really luxurious to be like, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. However, sometimes the stability of a paycheck coming in helps you work harder at your entrepreneurship and your side hustle, side gig, side passion. It's hard to work on your passions and your side gig, whatever you want to call it, when you're broke. So sometimes you have to remain stable in order to climb stairs. So that would be my three top advices.
And then is there any aspirational advice that you can provide for people? Obviously it's a difficult time for businesses and entrepreneurs as well. So is there any motivational or aspirational messages that you can give out?
It's really nice to be born into it. I wish I could say I was born into a family, my dad's a big builder or a developer. but there's really nothing special about my life. It's just a lot of hard work and a lot of grit and resistance to outside factors. I would say just keep going. Even if you have to drop a few things off, even if you lose it, if you lose your business, whatever, you can always start again, because if you did it once, you can do it again, because success leaves trails. So you'll already know how to get going and get going faster and smarter and quicker. I once read that an investor said, you know, you might lose a house here or there. And that shocked me. Oh my God, I might lose a house. But it can happen. And then you'll just know better how to do it again next time.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Ms. Feghali. I appreciate you accommodating our interview, and hope we can stay in touch and wish you and your
yes,
company nothing but the
absolutely.
best.
Thank you. Thanks, Tej. I appreciate it. I'm so grateful that you had me today, and I hope it was beneficial for your listeners. And as I said, once COVID is done, I'm coming to see you in Michigan.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it. All right, thanks.
Thank you.